Are you ready for a lot of math problems? Okay, let's do this. But before we begin, Builderman116 has something to tell you.
This video will be my last math problem set before I change my channel name to Detroit 18. This one is also the 5th math problem video I uploaded today.
Okay, that's enough. Builderman116. Anyways, let's jump into it now. Here are 80 amazing math problems to train your mind. 5 plus 3 is the first of the 80 math problems in this set. This math problem is the preschool addition problem when you can average the two numbers in the addition math problem and multiply them by 2. 5 plus 6 is another math problem. The only differences are this is not a preschool math problem, and the second number is 6, and it's not a kindergarten math problem, either. 0 plus 4 is the third math problem to be solved, and you know what the 0 in this addition problem means, add nothing. 6 plus 4 is the last one-digit addition problem and another preschool math problem. Now let's move on to two digits. 61 plus 13 is still a one-street grade addition problem and is the first two-digit addition problem we'll tackle. No regrouping is required. 27 plus 68, on the other hand, needs regrouping. That's because there's no room for the result of 7 plus 8 with one digit alone. You can solve 74 plus 72 by averaging the numbers. After that, you can multiply by the number of these numbers, 2. The only problem is that it's not a first-grade math problem. 86 plus 23 is the last two-digit addition problem for today. Let's move to the addition problems with up to 3 digits for each number. 141 plus 862 is not a 2nd grade math problem because the second grade makes people deal with numbers up to 1000, and the result is over that. However, it's the first 3-digit addition problem. The only 3-digit addition problem for second graders is 428 plus 550. That's because the result for this problem is 3 digits. And when I mean 3 digits, I mean the number ranges from 100 to 999. 464 plus 905 is the 11th math problem in the third 3-digit addition problem. We are over halfway there to subtraction. 416 plus 845 is the last addition problem dealing with numbers up to 3 digits. Let's move on to the second to final category of addition problems, the 4-digit addition problem, with a dozen math problems solved. 4,710 plus 2,165 will be the 13th math problem, and now, it's the first 4-digit addition problem. Also, you don't have to regroup for this one. How nice is that? 5,081 plus 7,145 will be problem number 14. After that, we still have 6 more addition math problems. 2,251 plus 956 is a 4 by 3-digit addition problem. I knew that this irregularity was going to happen. Okay, let's keep going. 9,242 plus 3,715 is the last 4-digit addition math problem. That is before we move on to the final category of our addition problems. Now we'll move to the 5-digit addition problems. 22,435 plus 91,047 will be the 17th math problem. As you can see, the result is over 100,000 for this one. For 74,911 plus 10,891's result, the opposite is true. The result is under 100,000. Also, we now have 2 more addition math problems. And take a look at 74,355 plus 85,437. The first number is similar in size. Meanwhile, the second number is vastly different, and 51,558 plus 58,263 is the last addition math problem we are dealing with for this week. Let's move on to the 20 subtraction problems. 11 minus 2 is the first subtraction problem of the day. It's not a preschool math problem, but you'll see it in the 22nd math problem. 10 minus 5 is the second subtraction math problem. You'll see that since the first number is 10, it is a preschool math problem. 4 minus 2 will be the next subtraction problem. And it's so simple that the first number is not even 5. 5 minus 3 is the 2th math problem in the last 1 to 2-digit subtraction problem. Let's move on to the 2 to 3-digit subtraction problems, starting with problem number 25. 163 minus 67 is the 25th problem so far. It isn't too bad. You regroup for this one. Also, the first number is only over 100. 48 minus 32 is next. And what do 48 and 32 have in common? They are both divisible by 16. 29 minus 14 is now the next problem because this is number 27 on our list, and this is the second to last subtraction problem before we move on to the 3 to 4-digit subtraction problems. 106 minus 56 is our last 2 to 3-digit subtraction problem, and it doesn't require regrouping. Now let's move on to the 3 to 4-digit subtraction problems. 905 minus 583 is the first 3 to 4-digit subtraction problem, with the math problem still suitable for second graders. 1045 minus 630 will be the 30th out of 80, and we have the thousands place again. The only way to avoid regrouping is to separate the subtraction math problem into two equal parts, which are 10 minus 6 and 45 minus 30. 1240 minus 455 is the 31st math problem. And this is the time when splitting this to equal parts can't stop you from regrouping. 1004 minus 785 is the 12th subtraction problem, and this one has 2 zeros in a row as the first number. Why? I don't know. And this is the last subtraction problem with 3 to 4 digits. Moving on to the 4 to 5-digit range. 7,753 minus 3,197 is now the first subtraction problem as the 4 to 5-digit type, and this is when you see 3 lucky 7s in a math problem. 9,276 minus 5,832 doesn't require any regrouping. That is, if you subtract in groups of 2, otherwise, it does, although only one time. 6,111 minus 2,383 is when you see 3 ones in a row. Also, regrouping is required no matter what method you choose. 15,374 minus 7,040 is now the 36th problem for this video, and this is the last 4 to 5-digit subtraction problem, so let's continue into the 5 to 6-digit subtraction problems. By the way, it will be the final category of subtraction problems. 102,568 minus 4,194 is a 6-digit number minus a 4-digit number, and we are in the last 4 subtraction problems, not to mention that the result is still 5 digits. 112,864 minus 38,891 is the third to last subtraction problem for the day. But after the subtraction problems, we'll move on to multiplication. 181,417 minus 96,048 as the highest number we've seen so far, and this is the second to last subtraction problem before multiplication walks in, and the last subtraction problem for the moment is 143,236 minus 93,169. We are now halfway there, so let's move on to the multiplication problems. This is 6 times 6. The first multiplication problem out of 20 we're dealing with. Remember that from 3rd grade, you most likely do. 6 times 2 is the second multiplication math problem, and this is the same thing as doubling 6, so there's no need to worry too much about that one. 0 times 8 is our third multiplication problem and the second to last 1-digit multiplication problem. You know the drill when you have to multiply by 0. 2 times 3 is our last 1-digit multiplication problem. Also, this is a 2nd grade multiplication fact when solved. So now, let's move on to the 2-digit multiplication problems. 37 times 33 is the first 2-digit multiplication problem. Unlike when we moved on from 1-digit to 2-digit addition or subtraction problems, the transition from 1-digit to 2-digit multiplication is more dramatic. You need more skills to do these problems. Made. 98 times 42 is our 46th math problem, so we are over halfway there before we complete the math problem. 51 times 48 will be the second to last two-digit multiplication problem, and this one is similar to 50 times 50. 8 times 74 is a 1 by 2 multiplication math problem. It's the last two-digit multiplication problem as well. We're now moving on to 3 digits. 386 multiplied by 354 is the last math problem before we move on to the 50th math problem. Also, this is the first 3-digit multiplication problem. 868 multiplied by 608 is officially the 50th math problem. Also, we have 30 more math problems to go. Let's continue. 911 multiplied by 994 is the 51st math problem out of 80. Do you associate the first number with any meaning? Yeah, and no prank calling for this number, please. 327 multiplied by 186 is the last multiplication problem before we move on to 4-digit multiplication. This one is also the tiniest 3-digit multiplication problem of the bunch. 2,215 times 1818 is our first 4-digit multiplication problem, and this is number 53 on our list. That means we have 27 more problems. 7,630 times 1983 is the 54th math problem, and there's a year for the second number. Is that 1983? 1,568 multiplied by 9,597 will be our 55th math problem. And look at the second number. It's almost 10,000. No wonder. 644 multiplied by 2,168 is a 3 by 4 multiplication problem, and it's the last 4-digit multiplication problem. So let's move on to 5. Welcome to the final category of multiplication problems, the first problem of which is 94,807 times 87,558. Only 3 more multiplication problems after this. 83,451 multiplied by 22,823 is the 23rd to last multiplication problem. Not to mention that these math problems are getting big yet again. 59,014 multiplied by 94,567 is the second to last multiplication problem, and this is the 59th math problem overall. Now let's get to the last multiplication problem. So this is it. 84,055 times 20,743, the last math problem before we move on to the final category of math problems, division. Now we have 20 more math problems to go. Let's move on to dividing numbers. 12 divided by 3 is the first division problem at the moment. Do you know this from 2nd grade? Because here, the divisors and quotients are up to 5. 40 divided by 8 is the second division problem you have right in your hands. This time, the division problem is from 3rd grade or higher, and the third division problem is 18 divided by 6. Again, nothing special. It's just that this division problem is from 3rd grade, but 8 divided by 2 is the last 1-digit division problem. Also, this means the final 2nd grade math problem ever in this video. Let's keep going to the 2-digit division problems. 2,340 divided by 60 is the first 2-digit division problem. As you can see, the divisor ends with a 0, and according to the divisibility rules, the number is divisible by 10. Speaking of which, if you want to learn more divisibility rules, search for videos about it. We even have one if you don't feel like doing that. Anyways, back to solving math problem. 2,387 divided by 77 will be the 66th math problem we're facing. We only have 15 more problems, including this. This one is so 5th grade. 51 divided by 51 is so easy, and see it for yourself. You already know what a number divided by the same number equals. 3,588 divided by 92 is the last division problem before we go to the 3-digit division problems. With 12 more math problems to go, let's move on. 186,439 divided by 187 has something special in store. When the divisor is multiplied by 1,000, the two numbers look very similar in size. Did you see it yet? 163,085 divided by 965 is the 70th math problem. Again, when you multiply the divisor by 1,000, it looks similar to the first number, but not as much as the previous problem. And we are at the home stretch. 122,130 divided by 531 is the 10th to last math problem. Look how far we've come. 216,360 divided by 360 is a somewhat easy math problem. You have 216, assign that a number is divisible by 360, and you see the rest yourself. But this is the last 3-digit division problem. So let's move on to 4. 92,727,180 divided by 9,639 is seemingly square, even though it's not, and this is the 8th to last math problem for now. Also, you might be confused by the division problems right now, and 24,474,096 divided by 8,451? Well, this will be the first of the 7 last math problems. Also, this is division problem 14. 29,258,844 divided by 8,677 is like the 130th math problem we have for this video, even though we only dealt with 75 math problems after this one. Don't you agree? But we only have 5 more math problems, so let's do them. 1,560,412 divided by 4,846 will be the last math problem before we move on to the final category of math problems, the 5-digit division problems. 995,690,896 divided by 38,152 is our 4th to last division problem and the first 5-digit one. Not to mention that this is also the 4th to last math problem overall. 155,039,262 divided by 73,374 is the 3rd to last math problem. Not to mention that we only have 2 more math problems after this. By the way, the result is uncommon compared to other 5-digit division problems. See it for yourself. 1,692,688,515 divided by 90,349 is the penultimate math problem for today, and this is problem number 79 right now. Did you know you only have one last math problem in this video after solving this one? 171,421,848 divided by 35,352 is now the last, and we mean the final math problem for this video. By the way, what 2-digit pattern for this math problem occurs more than once? Please let Builderman116 know in the comments. He will be glad if you do. So that's it. Be sure to subscribe to Builderman116 with all notifications, so you can never miss an upload. And with that, we will see you later.